nearly 4 years of waiting, the follow-up to Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, is finally here. It took me over 2 months, but after putting in almost 130 hours, I'm finally ready to review this game. And simply put, I think that this game is a masterpiece. The story picks up immediately after the events of the first game, where the party have left Midgar and have now entered the vast world of Gaia. We get an introductory sequence with the alternate timeline where Zack is still alive and helps Cloud get to Midgar. There's then a brief gameplay sequence, and he manages to rescue Aerith, who has fallen into a coma. We then cut to the main timeline where Cloud is regaling the others with his memories of the Nibelheim incident that occurred 5 years ago and what sent Sephiroth down this dark path he's taken. I won't talk too much about the main plot to avoid major spoilers, but basically, the team embarks on a globe-trotting adventure to track down Sephiroth, similar to the original game, despite some story alterations here and there. For those who played the original, you'll know what to expect in terms of locations such as Kalm, Junon, Costa del Sol, Corel, Gungaga, the Gold Saucer, Nibelheim, the Temple of the Ancients, and the Forgotten Capital for the finale. I feel like the video here speaks for itself in terms of graphical fidelity, as this is a beautiful game with some of the best cutscenes I've ever seen.
It's beautiful!
Obviously, the pre-rendered scenes are just on a whole other level, but the in-game scenes have the seamless transitions we're all used to at this point.
Oh, hey. Perfect timing.
I think the devs knocked it out of the park with the various locations, and how they've taken the more simplistic designs from the PS1 era and brought them into current-day fidelity.
Wish I could help, but never been motion sick. Sorry, man. Ready to do this?
Yeah, you bet.
My jaw would drop upon entering new locations, and I would just stare in awe at the splendor on display.
Just look at it all. It's so green. A living, breathing planet.
I think it's a testament to the love and passion Square has for Final Fantasy VII, and it shines through constantly while playing the game. The music, once again, is some of the best I've ever heard in a game, period. The vast array of tracks from the sweeping orchestral medleys, frenetic battle themes, and the calm town music all add so much to the experience, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what an incredible soundtrack this game has.
First battle, out in the world.
Especially considering that over 400 tracks were composed for this game, which is absolutely mind-boggling to consider. There's one Chocobo race theme in particular that plays during a side quest that caught me off guard considering how hard it goes. Apparently, it's a remix of a theme from Final Fantasy XIII, and it's an absolute banger. There's some one off tracks that you'll only get to hear when you do certain side quests or activities, which is just further incentive not to pass them up, as some of these tracks are the best ones in the game. So the gameplay loop here is similar to that of Remake for anyone who's played it, but for the uninitiated, it's a mix of real-time combat with strategic elements that harken back to the turn-based system from the original. You use basic attacks to fill up your ATB charges, which can then be used to perform different abilities, cast spells, or use items. The other party members you aren't controlling build ATB slowly, so it's important to continue cycling through your characters so that you always have ATB charges ready when you need them. Some abilities are useful for dealing damage, while others greatly increase an enemy's stagger bar. This is a bar underneath an enemy's health that, when filled, will render them briefly stunned, where you're able to deal 1.6 times damage. And this number can be increased further by Tifa's Unbridled Strength ability, which I used quite frequently.
Go on! I can do that again.
When you pressure an enemy, their stagger bar increases much more quickly, so it's always a good idea to assess the fiends you're fighting to figure out the best strategy for defeating them. Some may become pressured when hit with multiple abilities, or by using a spell with an element that they're weak against. Each weapon you come across throughout the game has an associated ability that comes with it. Initially, to use said ability, you have to have that weapon equipped, but upon mastering it, that ability can be used with any weapon that you have. Every weapon has slots that can be used for placing upgrades from a list. This can include anything from more damage for your attacks, more magic attack power, or help you build ATB faster. The other key component of this is materia, which allows you to cast various spells like fire, blizzard, thunder, and arrow, but also have numerous other uses based on the type. There are 4 types, being green, blue, purple, and yellow. The green materia allow you to cast the various elemental spells mentioned earlier, along with others like bio, quake, and haste. Blue are useful when linked with green, such as the blue material elemental, when combined with fire, which allows your attacks to have the fire element tacked onto them, or resist damage from the element depending on whether you equip it to your weapon or armor. Purple consists of various buffs that are always activated, such as filling your ATB gauge greatly upon staggering a foe, filling it more while blocking attacks, or adding to your HP and MP pools. Yellow add various moves to your arsenal, such as assess to see what enemies are weak to, along with the best way to pressure them, and also other moves like steal, jump, etc. One of the new mechanics introduced into Rebirth's combat are the all-new synergy skills and abilities. These are all new moves that allow 2 party members to team up for a combo attack. These moves also always result in the enemy getting stunned, so it's always great to use one when you need a little breathing room. These abilities also come with one of 4 bonuses on top of them. One allows you to raise your limit levels and execute higher level limit breaks. Another allows you to extend the amount of time an opponent is staggered, while yet another gives you unlimited MP for casting spells, which I found myself using quite frequently as it was such a huge benefit in battle. And the fourth gives you an extra ATB bar, which also reduces the overall size of each bar, making building ATB less of an issue mid-battle. How it works is that upon executing an ATB ability with the synergy bar next to it, you build up your synergy gauge represented by the bars underneath your health. You'll need to have 3 bars for both characters that will be taking part in the synergy ability. If you want to use the same ability again in the same battle, you'll need to build 4 bars and so on. The skills aren't as flashy or damaging as the abilities and can be used whenever you desire. One such skill propels Tifa into the air so she's able to attack flying opponents, which otherwise can be a hassle. Other skills range from one party member defending another, to Cloud redirecting Barrett's bullets at enemies. Whereas Remake was a very linear experience, Rebirth introduces massive explorable regions where the player can take part in a plethora of side activities. Traversing these open areas is made easier once you unlock the Chocobo for said area. Each area's Chocobo has different traversal skills it uses to navigate the world, from climbing up cliff sides, bouncing off giant mushrooms, gliding through the air, to using a jet stream of water as a propellant to fly around. I especially found the water propellant chocobos in Nibelheim to be a joy to traverse with. I was overall very impressed by just how much the developers expanded on the linear style of Remake to make these vibrant, colorful open areas to explore, especially with the verticality of certain sections and how you could climb and vault over objects that you just couldn't in Remake. I had to actively change my mindset of thinking, I can't get over there because there's some rocks in the way, to thinking, maybe I could climb over these and get over there faster, and finding out that I actually could. Beyond basic traversal, you'll be taking part in a vast number of side quests, activating towers a la Ubisoft open world games, fighting various fiends with additional objectives, locating shrines to the various summons to strengthen their materia and weaken them to fight in the combat simulator, and locating lifestream crystals that reveal information about the region and help with a number of side quests as well. There is just so much to do in the 6 open world regions that it's almost overwhelming if you plan on 100%ing this game as I did. Especially towards the end, where I was trying to finish up side quests and a bunch of mini games, when I wanted to get back to the main story to see how everything played out. All in all, after finishing everything I wanted to, including post-game content, I spent 126 hours with the game, and I loved just about every minute of it, so you definitely get your money's worth in that regard.
It's true.
Speaking of side quests, these can range anywhere from the more basic type of going somewhere to retrieve something to looking for mysterious objects known as proto-relics. This questline was particularly interesting as each region had its own set of minigames for it. One quest towards the end of the game involves you trying to beat a Shinra employee's high scores on all of the games at the Gold Saucer, which wasn't too bad until I got to the last part where you had to get through 5 rounds of battles that were particularly challenging with the enemy selection involved.
Dodge quickly. Oh, now he's pressured. Oh, he was first. Oh, whoops. That's not good.
I thought I was stronger than this.
So...
No joke, it took me multiple days to get through that part, which left me feeling a little more frustrated than I would have anticipated, considering how much I enjoyed the rest of the game up to that point.
This. I know I did.
a lot of tonberries. Okay.
This fight's not over yet.
That toad's distracting.
It's not just
Oh man, all that time wasted.
I'm gonna kill myself! Wow. I'm going to kill myself, and it's your fault!
Thankfully, I did eventually make it through, and then it didn't seem too bad after the fact.
Oh, I did it! I can't believe I finally did it!
Almost lost my cool there.
The original Final Fantasy VII is known for having a wide variety of minigames, and Rebirth has a massive variety when it comes to this department. One of the most notable being a card game called Queen's Blood that consists of 3 rows where the goal is to end up with the highest score per row and ultimately come away with more points than your opponent. I found this to be a ton of fun and very addictive as I wanted to play against everyone I came across throughout the game. It even has its own side story associated with it, which further incentivized me to see it through to the end. Some of the classic games make a return like Chocobo Racing and the Battle Arena, with some new ones like 3D Brawler, the Fall Guys-like frog minigame that you can find in Under Junon, and dolphin riding. For anyone familiar with Remake, you know that there were numerous boss battles throughout the story of that game, and Rebirth is no exception. There are dozens of encounters with huge, bombastic enemies all throughout the course of Rebirth's story. These battles are hectic, fast-paced, and a blast to play through. It really forces the player to use all of the gameplay systems to their advantage, whether that's building the boss's stagger bar, using a synergy ability to get a valuable bonus in the middle of the fight, using MP to cast damaging spells or heal party members, or using items when you need to conserve MP or get rid of a detrimental status effect. This is where the game truly shines, and some of the most fun that Rebirth has to offer can be found within these encounters. I think my main criticism I have is something I don't want to delve too deeply into for spoiler reasons, but basically, I'm not sure the ending of this game was handled in the best possible way. To give as vague context as I can, there is a pivotal moment in the story at the Forgotten Capital that fans of the original game are familiar with. Instead of being a poignant, shocking moment as it was, it turns into a confusing game of trying to figure out exactly what's going on. It didn't ruin the experience for me by any means, but I do think that it might have taken away from the original intent a bit. However, I also understand the reasoning behind why it was done the way it was, and it did lead to a crazy final boss battle which I won't spoil. Beyond that, some of the rocky or mountainous regions could be a little janky to traverse at times, especially on Chocoback, but this was only a minor nuisance at certain points. Maybe I could say that with the vast amount of content, it can make it difficult to stay focused on the story with so much other stuff to do, but it's optional, so I don't really see the point in criticizing that since it's basically complaining about having more game content. Although I did reach a point, as I often do with open world games, when I just wanted to see what happens next in the main story. But I wanted to explore all the content this game had to offer because it was all so compelling to me. So this is one of the rare cases where I held off on the main story to make sure I completed all the other optional content first. Now I thought I'd be able to skip this section considering this is a Japanese game, but unfortunately some DEI nonsense has crept its way into Rebirth, albeit subtly. There were two moments in particular during the game where I noticed they were pushing the gay agenda once again. The first was in an open world section of Junon, when you go to the crow's nest, and a woman can be overheard talking about her relationship with a guy not working out, and the other woman asks if she would consider dating her. The second is in Cosmo Canyon, where two guys are shown holding hands and talking about what they're going to do while visiting the area.
So the concert had all of those souls lost in welcome to the silver.
I told you the person I got to sell. The folks here aren't involved with. More importantly, we need to commit to a house. Now, I thought the property we saw the other day was to die for.
It was, but don't you think it might be a little big for the two of us?
Well, it does need to have room for my piano. And who knows? My family might end up growing someday. There's more than one way to nurture life, after all. Isn't that what we learned all the time here at Cosmo Canyon?
Yeah, I guess you're right. From now on, our life together can be whatever we want it to be.
Okay. Well, there's no getting around this. It's not just dialogue. Square Creative Business Unit 1 put in a gay couple in Cosmo Canyon. You gotta be kidding me. And yeah, I hate to break it to these guys, but they will never nurture life, not naturally, because that's not how God designed it to work. I am adding this. I'm putting this in my review because it's ridiculous.
Room's starting to spin real fast because of gayness.
So to briefly talk about the morality of this game, it's rated T for teen and has the typical tropes of that rating, including language, violence, blood, and some suggestive themes. Mostly language, as characters often use profanities both in and out of combat, but not to an annoying degree as some M-rated games do, just for the simple fact that they can. A perfect example would be the Far Cry games that have to throw in an F-bomb every other sentence to make sure everyone knows their game is rated M for mature, and to make them appear cooler than they actually are. Thankfully, that's not here in Rebirth. So, to wrap this all up, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a masterclass JRPG that took all my expectations for a sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake and completely blew them out of the water. From the thrilling combat, exciting exploration, the deep, rich, and interesting cast of characters, and the globe-trotting adventure in search of Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a game I will be using as a measuring post for all other games in this genre. When it was all said and done, I ended up pouring over 125 hours into this game, as if my review thus far wasn't indicative enough of how much I enjoyed it from start to finish. If this is what Square Enix was able to pull off for the middle game of the Remake trilogy, then I'm actually kind of worried, wondering how they are possibly going to top this in the finale. Only time will tell, and speaking of, I believe this game will stand the test of time for generations to come. It may not have completely stuck the landing in the ending, but the vast majority of time with this game was an absolute delight, and reminded me of why I love video games in the first place. It's for all these reasons that the final verdict for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a 10 out of 10. This doesn't constitute a perfect game, but like I said, this is a game that all other games in the genre will be compared to. I truly hope Square can stick the landing when the ending of the trilogy releases in a few years, but until then, Final Fantasy VII fans have a lot of great content to keep them occupied until then.
Don't want to rush you, but I hope you can finish it soon.
Thank you all so much for watching. I apologize that this review took me so long to get done, but this was a really long game, and I've been really busy lately, so I didn't have much time for a while to work on my review. So I appreciate your patience, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by. That's it for today, so until next time, God bless you, and I'm wishing you God's best for now, and throughout all eternity.
Don't want to rush you, but I hope you can finish it soon.